Hey James, just want to say a big thank you for jumping on this podcast. So I think it's going to be a interesting topic for a lot of people that are going to watch this, touching on a lot of stuff in e-commerce, to be fair, and obviously with a big volume of experience on this table right now within the e-commerce world. I think it's going to be a good podcast.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely, it's good to be here.
100%. So the first thing I want to touch on is your journey within e-commerce. Like, where did it all begin? Why did you choose e-commerce to go down? So
it all started around 12 years ago now, and our kind of recent trip to Bali actually reminded me of how long ago that was. So my dad got me into e-commerce. He's always kind of looked for other ways of making money to get out of the traditional rat race of just kind of working and trading your time for money. And he kind of came across a number of different ways of making money online. At the time, I was at university. I was studying computers, so it was always kind of like, let's do this as a joint effort. He's kind of got the gift of the gab, if you like, and I had the tech experience in computers, so it was a really good partnership. And we went along to a few expos, some seminars and things like that on how people were making money online, and kind of got into it from there. So back then we were kind of looking at private labeled rights on products. So we would purchase sort of master resale rights to digital products. We would then remarket those. So we were looking at things like email marketing and direct marketing back in the day when actually you could purchase email lists.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, like being able to purchase an email list of like interested people in a particular topic or in a particular niche was great, because you kind of already had that warm audience to your type of products. So yeah, we started off doing master resale rights, purchasing things like DVDs. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in the day, you'd get an email that was like, get shredded abs with this 5-day ab workout. So we used to sell stuff like that. And then we kind of looked at a whole load of other different bits and pieces. We looked at kind of white labeled products within niches that we were interested in. My dad was always kind of interested in martial arts and kind of spirituality and kind of like the Far East and all of that kind of stuff. So we started on some certain products in those type of niches, which is where I built my first website, sitting out in Bali and kind of building a website there.
So that's where it took you back.
It did, yeah. Yeah, it did. It was great going back. But yeah, from there we tried a whole host of different things, and then what's probably about 6 years ago now that we kind of settled in e-commerce. We started seeing a real boom in online in the online industry from online retail type of things. So we started kind of getting into it that way. And yeah, it kind of brings me to sort of a little bit sort of before where I am today. Sort of obviously working full time. I was working full time and obviously running all the e-commerce business on the side of that. And it got to the point where, probably going back a few years now, where I was just I felt like I was constantly working. You know, I was working a day job during the day, I was coming home, and then I was doing another 5 or 6 hours on the e-commerce business. And I was earning more from working those hours of my e-commerce business than I was doing like 8 to 10 hour days working in full-time employment. Kind of started up the consultancy business and was helping clients and brands looking at kind of expanding their business, expanding their reach, looking at even like kind of people with a traditional bricks and mortar business and looking to kind of add an online element to them.
Did you have much success in that part?
Yeah, it was good. It was good to kind of, especially in the early days of like consultancy, you know, getting to work with like small independent businesses who had a kind of traditional bricks and mortar business as opposed to kind of like franchisees and stuff like that. And just looking at like saying like, how can they expand their offerings, expand their audience and things like that. And obviously one of the things with like traditional businesses is that to a certain degree, they are restricted by their location. You know, there's only so far that a customer is going to travel to your bricks and mortar business. There's only so far they're going to travel to your location. So your audience, to a certain degree, is restricted by that. And then by taking that online, it opens you up to the world. You know, your audience has just expanded exponentially. So yeah, it was great. We took a few businesses from people that were doing they were trying to break the 6-figure mark and couldn't, and then we took them online, and things just exploded, and they were doing like 6 figures a month, which was incredible. So
it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was their reaction when you helped them get to that mark?
Well, unbelievable amounts of gratitude, especially with, obviously, because it was kind of early days for me on the consultancy side of things. So with most people, when you kind of start that side of things, you're not charging the world for it. But then, pricing structure changed quite quickly after that.
I bet.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. Really, really enjoyed it. And then that sort of led me to always looking for different systems and signing up to different systems to see, is there anything new that I can learn, or is there anything new being taught that would work really well, or what complements what I already do? And then obviously, signing up with you guys and working with you over the past 3 years now.
Quite
3
a while,
years,
yeah. 5 years, yeah. I remember when you first came through to us. I think we had a chat, and you were running a few stores back then. When you came to your first event as well, you were showing people obviously the store, making sales like there and then.
Yeah.
So you had like obviously you had a lot of experience prior to coming through to us, but you can tell like when someone's putting a lot of work and stuff like that, and obviously your knowledge was extensive in that area as well. So yes, that's a pretty cool journey.
Yeah, it was good, man. It's been good. I've really, really enjoyed it. And kind of particularly probably the last 12 months, by kind of just leaving the full-time world behind and just doing this is incredible. Like the freedom that it's given me. Like, we talk about it a lot, and I know sometimes it can sound a bit cliche, but that freedom to do what you want when you want, spending more time with the family is incredible. Like, it's probably, for me, it's the biggest benefit of this of working online is the amount of time that I get to spend with my son now. And so it's the little things like school runs. Always dropping him off, always picking him up, being there for whenever he needs it.
Yeah.
This type of business affording you that ability is probably one of the best for me.
I'd say it's one of the, obviously coming from the traditional world, it's one of the biggest achievements that somebody can get, becoming financially free from the traditional world, I would say. Me, like going back, I was never a morning person. I used to be grumpy, I used to be miserable, and having to wake up to go to work at 7 a.m, 6:30 and stuff like that. You'd never catch me with a smile on my face, but doing e-commerce and obviously having that freedom and stuff like that, I never wake up with an alarm anymore, and I think a lot of people that are in that position understands that it's one of the biggest achievements you can get, and for the same reason as well, if people have families, like what you said with your son, spending more time, and it is just the little things down to that, and there's probably more business models out there that can offer that, but e-commerce you're guaranteed to get that if you stick with it, put the work in. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's like there's always new ways of making money online coming out. Like we see it time and time again, and you think to yourself, is this one that's going to stick, or is it just going to be a trend for a little while? Or is it going to go away? How long are people really going to kind of take any notice of this or stick with this? But that fundamental e-commerce model is just always going to be there.
100%. Yeah, I remember when I first looked into e-commerce. We're probably talking maybe when I was 17, I would say. And this wasn't like Shopify or anything like that, but it was just a case of I was going to college and trying to work as a chef at the same time, and I just wasn't making enough money to do what I wanted to do. So I ended up obviously checking out Chinese suppliers, looking for products and stuff like that. So I ended up ordering a few, mainly for myself, and I ordered a few, and then I only needed one of what I was ordering. So I decided I'll put it on eBay, sell it. Obviously, eBay is an e-commerce platform as well. So they sold literally overnight. So I was like, like something clicked. I was like, I can make more money here. So went straight back on that website with obviously the money I made, ordered, I think like 10 more products. They arrived, put them on eBay. They all sold within like overnight once again. And sort of got into the routine of things with that. So like from an early age, from my side, sort of understood that you can make more money, and you know the volumes of money you can make like whilst you're sleeping, like it was much more than I'd ever earn in a traditional job. So I think like a lot of people see the potential, and I think anybody that has bought something online is generally a part of the e-commerce world. Like the second you buy something online, you've contributed to e-commerce. And from what I've seen, like from ever since I started, everybody buys online. Everybody buys online, but a very small, and I mean very small proportion sell. Yeah. And I think that's the opportunity there, which allows people to get the achievements, the goals that they want.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like when somebody talks to me about e-commerce and they go, oh, what's that then? And I say, well, it's like buying and selling products online. And they go, what, you mean like fakes and stuff? And I'm like, no, not fakes. I said, imagine like you've bought stuff online before. And they go, yeah. I said, okay, well, people like me are selling that stuff to you. And they're like, oh, right, I get it. I was like, yeah, anyone can do it. Like, you don't just have to be some huge corporation with huge warehouses and all that kind of stuff. You know, the drop shipping model is a prime example of that. You know, you don't have to have any stock. You don't have to have a warehouse. You don't have to have logistics contracts in place. You don't need hundreds of staff to pick and pack your stuff. Somebody else can deal with that. You just be the marketer in the middle and just advertise the products and keep the profit. It's a really good business model to start with. And we talk about it all the time, and I know we say it's time and time again that it's probably one of the best entry-level business models into e-commerce of that drop shipping, because it just gives people an opportunity to get a bit of a taster of how easy it can be. I say easy, simple. I won't say easy, I say simple. The processes are simple because sometimes it's hard. But again, it's good for new people to come into this to experience the hard side of it as well. Because if you experience the hard side of it and you just say, jack it in, this is not for me. It's like, fine, just one less competitor for us to worry about. But at the same time, you know, that's probably not people that we want to work with and not people that we'd want to mentor. Is those that just say, this is too hard, I can't be asked. We want the people that have got the staying power, you know. I'm more than happy to work with people that have got the dedication and that vision to know that it's possible, it's achievable. Well, we know it is because we're living proof of it. You know, we're doing it time and time again. We're doing it day in, day out. This is the life that we live. So you know it's possible. It's just getting other people to believe in themselves that they've got the ability to do it. I think that's probably the biggest struggle for a lot of people, is just having the belief in themselves that they can do it. Yeah.
I think as well, like it's still one of the biggest mysteries I would say that I have, like understanding why people quit once they hit an obstacle. And like you like what you're saying, you look online, there's proof everywhere that e-commerce works. You see people living the life that these individuals coming through want to live. But I do think it's down to like mindset a lot in regards to that as well. Like, if somebody's quit at something in life, whether it's going to the gym and after 6 months or a year, they haven't, got the results they want, they'll quit. But then the second you quit on something, it makes the next thing a lot easier to quit so forth. Like when I first started e-commerce, I had zero knowledge with it, kind of working solo a bit as well when I was doing it. And the amount of obstacles I hit, just like so many different stuff, in my mind, there was never the option to quit. Like every obstacle I hit, it was a case of, right, how do I fix this? What do I need to do? How do I get past it? And that was it. Like not once, and I can 100% promise this to anybody, not once did I ever think about, I can't be asked. Like I've failed at this and stuff like that.
So you only fail when you quit.
100%. And we see that with our community, the people that are at the top, the people that are making the mega money within e-commerce, like these people are probably the people that have hit the most obstacles as well. And these people like have that mindset of, I don't want to quit. I know this works. There's people making money. How do I get past this obstacle? What's the solution? And they work at it. They get past it without moaning, without, I totally understand some things are extremely annoying when you hit an obstacle and it's going to take you a week to get past that. It's like, I've lost out on a week again. But things like that happen all the time. And once again, referring back to the gym, if you're, on making good progress and you pull a muscle or you injure yourself, you need to take time out. You need to recover, but you come back stronger and you keep going. And you learn from that. And then it's exactly the same with e-commerce. So I think the mindset is a powerful thing within e-commerce. So with social media playing a big part, obviously, within e-commerce and everybody's day-to-day life, more and more people on social media. And probably in the last couple of years, there's so many new platforms that came on social media. What do you feel like are the benefits for e-commerce on this?
They're huge. I mean, at the moment, obviously, we see like e-commerce kind of not morphed, but expanded, should I say, into mobile commerce. With the introduction of like smartphones and stuff like that, people are always on their smartphones. People started moving more towards shopping on their mobile devices, tablets, etc. So there was a whole shift from e-commerce into mobile commerce. And then, as you say, over the last few years, the introduction of more social media platforms, and in particular TikTok, like that exploded.
Blown up.
And like, mainly because of the pandemic, that people were thinking like, what am I going to do? And I don't know, well, let's do a load of crazy dances and memes and stuff all over TikTok. And people, marketers and e-commerce businesses saw the huge potential for that, for the amount of traffic and the audience and the ability to kind of reach these level of people, that social commerce was born out of these recent developments through social media platforms. And it's massive. I mean, you think like there's I think the latest stats were saying like 4.8 billion users on social media platforms. And of those 4.8 billion users, they were saying that, is it 71%? I think it's 75% of internet users have researched brands or searched for a product or a service or something on a social media platform.
That's a big number.
It's massive. You think like it used to be Google or a search engine or Bing or whatever. That's where you would go to for searching. But now people are using social media platforms to search for stuff like products and services. And even of that, like 49%, it is 49%. So yeah, just under half say that they trust in an influencer's recommendations when it comes to products. Mm. So the use of things like micro-influencers and user-generated content or influencer-generated content is massive when it comes to e-commerce. There's just these people have got that trust and credibility that you might be trying to create. And it can be difficult when you first start an e-commerce business. Someone's never heard of your brand. They've never heard of you as a business. They don't know what your products are like. They don't know what the quality is like. They can't walk into a physical store and try your product and test it and hold it and that kind of stuff. So when they're following these people on social media and they're saying, like, these people are saying, this is a good product, I like it, I've used it, these are all the benefits, it's made these changes to my life, that people trust in that, that they give you like the majority of the trust and credibility that you need to try and convert those sales. So yeah, social media is a huge part of e-commerce now, which is why we're seeing this whole social commerce tag being attached to it. So
everything you said there, I can back up as well. I was helping late last year, just coming up to Christmas. I was actually helping a influencer. I think she had about 2.8 million followers on Instagram, and she came to me basically saying she's got a big audience on Instagram and she wants to make some money. Like, let's be honest, everybody wants to make money. But she was wondering like but the different angles that she could take in order to, not rip her audience off, but, for everyone to benefit from it.
Just to monetize that following.
Yeah. And one thing that she had, I think she had about 3 kids as well. And she was saying that, she buys a lot of products for her newborn baby, her toddlers and stuff like that. And she was like, every time I post, someone using one of the baby products or something like that, she gets hundreds of messages in her request saying, oh, where did you buy this from? What did you do? Where did you get this? So we came to the conclusion that you can make money from that. So we ended up building a baby store for her, basically going through the ages of anywhere from 0 all the way up to like 3 years old, like a mixture of products throughout that.
Yeah.
And what we did was basically get her to order the products from Amazon. So she would have them the next day and stuff. And she would have that drop shipping store set up in the background. So if her kids, I remember there was one product, it was like a food bowl for that kids can have in the car. And if they tip it, it doesn't
I know the one you mean,
Yeah, those products. And just like that, as an example, she had that on her store. She posted it. They were going on like some theme park adventure, and he was in the back with that. And she done a few videos, like her opening the door to get him out, and he threw it, and there was no mess. And she got, I think, in total, nearly 700 messages just from that, from her following, saying, you know, where'd you get this? I need this. My kids always make a mess indoors. So she done a story on her social media saying, I've received X amount of messages about this product. I got it from this store. Here's the link. And obviously, no one knows that she owned the store. It was just there, and it was the exact same product, so she's not ripping anyone off, and just from that she made thousands of pounds just from like a 10-second story. And she's running the store, she's still running it now, and she doesn't ask too much for my help. She's got the hang of it, and I presume from what I've seen her lifestyle change to, she's doing very well from that. So the power of like what you're saying, the credibility from influencers, it's insane. And for like even small e-commerce brands just getting started, if you've got the capital to invest into a few micro influencers, like it's going to blow up. It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, like nowadays, like there's so many people out there that are creating incredible content, and they're taking up like a full-time job as a content creator. You know, they're like really, really creative people. You can find them all over the place, from Fiverr to Upwork, or all over these freelancer websites. And not a lot of them are really expensive, especially when you think about what the investment is versus what the return's going to be. You know, sometimes like when you're starting out and you're first getting involved into e-commerce and you're drop shipping and you don't have a huge amount of capital, then all right, you can kind of get some videos done for like, or, you know, we know loads of places out there where you can get 3 or 4 videos done for like 60 quid, or you can jump on Fiverr and you can find people on there that do you a 30-second clip for 15, 20 quid. All right, they're not going to be the greatest quality, but they might do to start you off and to kind of get you into the world and understanding how that all works. But then you start investing. We always say, like, once you start making money with dropshipping, you reinvest that into your business. You start getting better content, better quality content, or you reinvest into better quality products, or ordering smaller numbers into you so that then you can ship them next day delivery and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, the social media it's just been huge. And once you become sort of an experienced marketer and experienced in e-commerce, and I know we kind of like when we mentor people and we kind of talk to people about what they should do, and she'd always say we pick an evergreen niche. You know, pick a niche that's not subject to seasonal trends. It's not a trend or a fad that's just going to disappear in a few months. But once you become an experienced marketer and really understand e-commerce, there is so much money that you can make by jumping on a trend and using social media to do that. So I think I know that we kind of teach people that, you know, when you're looking at niches and you're trying to start your e-commerce business, we teach them to look for an evergreen niche, something that's not subject to seasonal trends, that's not going to be a fad, that's not going to disappear in a few months' time. But once you become an experienced marketer and understand e-commerce and you kind of nail it and things are running well, you can make so much money from jumping on a trend using social media. And what made me think of that is when you kind of said about you've got a drop shipping store and you said to this influencer about buying products from Amazon. And there's so many e-commerce guys and girls out there that I know that will see a product coming up thinking this is going to smash it this summer. So they buy the product from Amazon, they order the stock, or they set up the drop shipping site. They'll buy the product from Amazon so that they get it the next day, can make a shed load of content, and then they just start posting it. Maybe or even organically, like just posting on TikTok. And it's only got to take one of those videos to go viral, and that's it. You know, people are buying that stuff. The fact that TikTok and Shopify now have this integration whereby you can actually check out and purchase a product directly from TikTok just makes that whole checkout process and that whole conversion process so much easier. And it's a win-win for both TikTok and you as an e-commerce business owner, because TikTok want to keep people on the platform. You just want those sales. So you don't even have to push them to your website. The fact that they can just check out, it's a win-win for both. So yeah, social media is massive. It's going to continue to be.
Yeah. And I think that as time goes on, there's always going to be new social media platforms coming out. We've had on recently Threads. That's came out. So that's got an entire future ahead of it. During the pandemic, Facebook Shops came out. And obviously that is the same idea, to keep people on the platform. We had, which we haven't seen too much of, but Instagram had Instagram shops on there. Didn't really work out for them, so they bring out subscriptions recently instead. But you can see these social media platforms, the big ones, are trying to adapt to the demands of e-commerce. But it's great, people that want to get involved with e-commerce. You've got so many different angles, so many opportunities with that. And they're always developing. So it's going to be good. One thing I want to touch on in this podcast as well, especially with you, James, is do you think that e-commerce is going to be future-proof? And if so, why do you think that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think e-commerce is just continues to grow. We don't see any sign of it. I know that we see, over the last 5 years at least, we constantly see traditional bricks and mortar businesses closing down. I know the pandemic had a big part to play in that, but there's always going to be issues moving forward within the world. It's like, all right, there's not e-commerce crisis, but economic crisis, sorry. Then there's wars, then there's another economic crisis, then there's pandemics, and there's always going to be issues that traditional businesses will struggle to be able to adapt to. They're just not versatile enough. But adding an e-commerce arm to it, or an online aspect to a traditional bricks and mortar business, is probably going to be their best chance. If you just have a sole e-commerce business, then your ability to adapt and flex and roll with whatever kind of problem is thrown your way is just so much easier to do. And just with the introduction of AI,
AI is big right now.
It's massive, and kind of we touch on it a little bit, but AI is huge in the sense that there's so much stuff out there in development now around being able to analyze like big data and kind of predict what your customers want, or what could be the next big product, using AI to kind of automate a load of tasks that you may have to do in your own e-commerce business, from content creation to copywriting to ad creatives to just running general tasks, dealing with customer service like chatbots. Chatbots have been around for a little while now, but they're constantly improving in terms of how they respond. Now, with the introduction of all of this kind of stuff, it just makes it a lot easier for you as a business to, one, run it and work less hours, but also grow and scale. I know a lot of people worry about saying, well, is e-commerce going to overtake traditional? And with the introduction of all of these kind of new time-saving solutions, is that going to make traditional businesses redundant, or is that going to leave people out of jobs and all this sort of stuff? And my belief on that is that it might make the existing jobs redundant, but it will create new jobs. So people will need to shift in skills. There may be opportunities for people who have transferable skills to kind of take them across into new roles. But I heard most recently that computer courses at university are now in the top seven topics that to be studied at university, because of how they see the tech world progressing and how they see AI progressing. So I think e-commerce has got a long road ahead of it. I don't see it kind of having any issues anytime soon. I
think even when people with people that do research about e-commerce, ever since I knew about it, like I said earlier on, it's just been growing. Consistently, and the stores that I've had, obviously it comes down to experience as well. I understand that, but there hasn't been a point where e-commerce has dropped whatsoever, and it's been like that for a very long time. And I think one of the best examples is if you look at some of the richest and most wealthiest companies and individuals out there, they do e-commerce. E-commerce is essentially dominating. And what you said about universities, I heard somebody say that coders are going to be the future engineers of the world, essentially, which essentially is going to be true. with as the online world progresses, and like what you said, as pandemics hit the world, the populations crisis, like in regards to the economy and stuff like that, it gets tough. And I think once again, going back to COVID, that was such a big eye opener for a lot of people. I think everybody was sort of just going about life as usual, and then no one expected a pandemic. You wouldn't expect a pandemic to hit that fast. And I remember, every single day I'd check online and there would be this massive companies close their doors. They've gone into liquidation. They've made their staff redundant. And some of these businesses I've known ever since I was little, walking down the high street with my parents, they were there. And this is the first pandemic that's hit, ever since. And they've had to shut their doors because they can't do it. But when you look at the statistics of the online retail shopping, it was booming more than ever. And it just goes to show, with e-commerce, the question that I asked you, is it future proof? I truly believe it's going to be there for a very long time. The traditional world, I feel like, will always still be there. I think people are happy to go to shops. I still like going to shopping malls, but it's going to get more tighter, I think, in the area of where people can succeed. And I think the bigger companies will tend to buy out the smaller companies. And we've seen this once again during the pandemics and stuff like that. Smaller companies are, moving into the doors of this massive corporation that's been around for X amount of time. And it's going to be like that. But I think it's going to be an interesting future moving forward with e-commerce getting bigger and bigger. But at the same time, for the people that are going to be watching this podcast that are getting into e-commerce, I think it's going to be a good eye-opener that they're in very safe hands. In a traditional world, especially like what I was doing, I didn't feel like my job was safe after a certain amount of time. You can be replaced like that. And I think, the main key point that people want to take away from this podcast is that e-commerce is a business model that anyone can do with the right knowledge over time, and at the same time you're going to be safe in it. If you mastered this skill, like any other trade out there, if you master that, you're going to know what you're doing. You're going to be able to do it with confidence, especially in e-commerce. You're going to be safe. Nobody's going to tell you to close your shop doors. You keep that running to the entire world 24/7. You ain't got to employ staff to do anything. So e-commerce is great.
Definitely, mate.
It's good. Cool, James. Well, thanks for jumping on this podcast. Hopefully we get to do another one in the future at some point.
Definitely.
Touch on some new bits, but it's been good.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.